Good evening. We're going to continue with Unit 2, Lesson 11, Divide by Using Familiar Strategies. I want you to remember some parts of division, some very important words. We look over here, and I call this like our division house. Over here, on top of this division sign is called the quotient. A quotient is the answer to a division problem. The number that we're dividing by is called the divisor, and the number that we're dividing into is called the dividend. Other ways we can divide, it looks like a fraction bar. See, we could put the dividend on top, and we're dividing by the divisor, which is 6, but that's a fraction bar. That is another way to divide to get you the quotient. Another symbol of division looks like this. 24 is the dividend that you're dividing into, and you're dividing by is the divisor is equal to the quotient. So these are just different ways of how to divide. And today I'm going to show you another strategy to divide by. Before we start getting into that, multiplication versus division. When we're multiplying, we're combining groups to make a bigger number. We have factors, and when we multiply by two factors, we get a product. That's an answer to a multiplication problem. We don't know the total when we're multiplying, and it always starts with smaller numbers. Whereas division, we are creating groups. Whereas multiplication, we're combining groups, we're creating groups. So when we do that, we're making much smaller numbers. Just like in gym class, when they have to break up a whole entire class into smaller groups and you're having team versus team, you're making smaller groups. The total is known. I know that I have 25 students, but I have to put them into 5 groups. So how many students are going to be in each group? 5 times 5 is 25. So the total is known. When they give you the total, you know that you're going to divide. And division, they always start with bigger numbers. Also important words to see, clues that you're going to know that you're going to divide rather than multiply, is when they ask you how many equal groups, or how much does each group get. These are important words to remember when we're dividing. All right, we got a basic fact here, but we're going to decompose the total of 14 divided by 2. And how we're doing that is we're going to be doing number bonds. So we're going to break up 14. But how we're going to make sure that we're doing this correctly is that we're looking at the number that we're dividing by, the divisor, going into the dividend. And we want to make sure that the numbers that we pull out of 14 that can be divided by 2. So when we look at 14, we're going to pull out a 10. And when we pull out a 10, we know that 2 can go into 10 evenly. So when we do 14, take away 10, how much we have left? We have 4. So now we have our number bond. And now we can divide. And how we're going to divide? We're going to say 2 goes into 10. How many times? Well, it goes into it 5 times. 2 goes into 4. How many times? It goes into 2 times. And we get a number, an answer of 7, which makes sense because this is a basic fact. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 7 times 2, if we check, does equal 14. So this is how we can decompose totals, and this is what we're going to be looking at today. All right, in this next example, we have 21 divided by 3. So we want to make sure that we've got a 3 that can go in, that divisor of 3 can go into that dividend 21. And we're going to do this by making a number bond. We want to see what can go into 21 that we can divide by 3 right away. Well, I know that 3 times 5 is going to give us 15. Right? And then how much is left over? 21 take away 15 is 6, which is perfect because 3 can go into 6. And now we can divide. We say 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 6 goes 2 times. So the answer is 7. The quotient is 7. So which makes sense because these are our partial products. All right, the next example is 56 divided by 7. Again, we want to get a number that 7 can go into. So we're going to break up 56, and we're just not putting 50 and then 6 on the other side because 7 has to go into it, and 7 can't go into 50 evenly. What can 7 go into that's close to 56? The closest we can get to would be 35, because 7 times 5 is 35. How much is left over that 7 can go into would be 21. And now we can divide by our divisor of 7. 7 goes into 35 5 times. 7 goes into 21 3 times. And we get a quotient of 8. Which makes sense because if this is just basic division, a basic division fact, 56 divided by 7 does equal 8. This is just another way of looking how to divide to help you when we get to do longer division. We're going to divide in unit form. We have 16 ones divided by 2. That's our divisor right here. How many ones? Well, 2 goes into 16. We get 8 ones. Next one, 28 tens divided by a divisor of 4. So 28 tens is really just saying 280. So 4 goes into 28 tens. How many times? It goes into it 7 tens, which is really 70. In our next example, 6 people equally share $78. How much money does each person get? Well, remember when I told you in the beginning of this lesson, important words to look for. I see the word equally. And I also see the word each. So, and then they also gave us another important clue, which is the total. So we know that we're going to divide this up. So it's basically saying 6 times what is going to give us 78. All right, so we have to break it up. We have to break that $78 up into 6 groups. Another way that people do this is actually writing out 78, meaning dots. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, instead of boring you guys, making you see me type out 78 circles here, I press pause. All right, so now we have 78 dots here, and I need to make them into 6 equal groups. So let's find 6 equal groups. How can we do this? Well, I'm going to find 6 equal groups. Again, to save some time and not sit watching you count me all these out, what we did is we made 6 equal groups. And if you look carefully right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how much are in each group is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have 13. So $13 is going to go to each person. So 16 times 13 is 78. So this is another example of how you could do division. You're going to be here for a while. You simply do your number bonds, or you can count it out by drawing pictures. But this is just another example of how to divide. 78 divided by 6. I know we just did this one, but we did the equal group where we drew the pictures. If I showed you how to do this now, we could do the break apart method. And we're going to pull out 2 numbers that equal 78, but are divisible by. That means they could be divided by this divisor of 6. So what can I pull out of here? I can pull out 6 tens out of this. I can pull out 6 tens, and when I do that, that gives me 60, and then this gives me 18, because 78 minus 60 is 18. So that's what I have left over, is the 18. Now I can divide. I can say 6 divided by 60 is going to give me 10. Then 6 goes into 18 3 times. And then when I join these two partial products up, we get 13. That's a number bond of using the breaking apart the total. You always have to remember, when we're using the divisor, we have to say, how much can I pull out of this number that the divisor can go into? And there are 6 tens in this 78 that I could pull out to get 60, and then we subtract 78 and 60 and we get left over of 18. In the next one, we got a bigger dividend of 161 divided by the divisor of 7. So we're looking for that quotient, and we are going to use the break apart, the total. So I'm going to take 161, and we're going to be able to break this up into three numbers. Because when we look at 7, we have to say, how much can 7 go not just into 100, but 160? Because that, if I take away the 1, that really is 160. So 7 times what gives me close to 160? Well, that would be 140, is the closest I can get. So 7 can go into 140 how many times? Well, 140, if you break that up, would be 70 and 70. Because you want to get that 7 to go into those numbers evenly. So 140, if you break that up, you're going to get 70 plus 70. So when you do 140 and you take it away from 161, you're left with how much? You're left with 21. All right, so now you're on your way to figure out, when you divide by, figure out all the little partial products. So 70 goes into, 70 divided by 7 is 10. 7 goes into 70 again another 10 times. And 21 divided by 7 is 3. And if we add this all up, we get 20 plus 3 is 23. So 7 groups of 23 is 161. Here's a math joke. In order to hear the answer, you have to do the next couple of problems. Why did the students wear glasses during math class? First problem. 4 equal groups of how many is 68? And I want to see your work tomorrow. Let's see those number bonds. That's the big thing I want to see. If you're going to use those little place value discs and make the pictures to make the groups, that's fine. But seeing those number bonds would really be helpful towards working towards that long division method. 56 divided by 4. Bring in your work tomorrow. Your last one in order to find out the answer to our math riddle. 96 divided by 8 is equal to how much? And I want to see your work tomorrow. Why did students wear glasses during math class? It improved their vision. Get it? Vision. Vision makes you able to see. All right. Have a wonderful night, and we'll practice the skill tomorrow. Bye-bye.